Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. I am Sarah Shuey, the CEO and founder of Happily, the world's largest and most diverse network of live and virtual event specialists. And I'm so excited. This is like my first time broadcasting out to y'all on YouTube and LinkedIn and where I bring in a friend and a colleague. And I'm very excited to share a new teammate. Meet Farsh Kanji. Say hi, Farsh.
Hey, what's up?
One of the we all have new goals and stuff for the new year, and certainly one of mine is just to continue to work with the people that I love and keep making awesome, cool experiences with those people. And when I found out that Farsh was like, hey, maybe looking for a company to team up with, immediately I was just started recruiting. I was like, so Farsh, let me tell you all about the great things that are happening at Happily, right? Isn't that true, Farsh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You were
So,
doing a catch up.
yeah. That's how it started. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, we're doing this now. And then,
Because so
yeah.
Farsh, you were at Selfie, and you should tell everyone what Selfie is, because Selfie's awesome.
So Selfie is the edible photo booth. We create edible selfies live on demand at events. So basically, it's a great way to, increase foot traffic at an event, social media shares, and brand recognition. So basically, what would happen is that you would come in into an activation, and we would take your photo, and then like 5 minutes later, your photo is on a coffee, a popsicle, a cookie, a marshmallow, a macaron. We had like 20 products. And
We had it the last time I had a selfie was on a Guinness in on a rooftop in Boston. Remember for the
yeah,
flex
yeah,
summit?
yeah, right. So yeah, there's just so many different use cases for it. And I mean, it was like a super fun and engaging experience. And through that, it had led us to work with Sarah, use Happily services. And, we were using Happily for, I think, at least 3 years. And
Yeah, and it was fun watching you grow. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
first it was the two of you, and then it was
right.
oh, now you got to talk to Matt Pussin, and we're in you took us to cities that I didn't even know existed.
Right. So sometimes we were like, hey, Sarah, we need some help in Kansas. We don't know anybody in Kansas. Do you? Oh, yeah, let me check to see who's available and who has experience and who's engaging. And so, yeah, we had a really good relationship in terms of the synergy between our businesses, before this. And then, yeah, so it's really exciting to see Sarah kind of have also transformed your business into something super relevant to what's happening now and for the future.
Yeah, man, the pivot, dude, it's been gnarly. Everything's changed for everyone. Even though it's still Happily, it feels like a whole brand new company, the way that we're operating, the services that we provide. Even looking last year and what people, what specialists we were booking. We used to have creatives here, and then just mushroomed, and technologists also. But what were you doing before Selfie?
um, I mean, it's funny because for fun, 10 years ago, I was throwing parties here and there. So I guess that was the first.
What was your legendary party? Everybody has one. Either one that
The
you went to, or one that you put on yourself.
one that we put on was, I don't know, it was just like a really big party in a really dark warehouse. I'll leave it. I'll kind of leave it at that.
What kind of music
um,
was it?
that was like dance music. So yeah, it was super fun. And that was like the first foray into this world of organizing people. And oh man, we need a door guy. Oh, we got to sell tickets, and or all these different things. So it was starting to get my mind in that space. And I was like, wow, events are really fun to be a part of, right? This industry, but I didn't have any idea of that I was going to be, part of it. At that time, before that, I guess I was, or I am a chiropractor.
Do you,
uh,
you're a chiropractor? Like, I remember like
yes.
hearing about this and I was like, is that real? Because I just can't imagine that.
Yeah, I had like a multidisciplinary wellness clinic for about 11 years in Canada. And yeah, I mean, went to school for a while in Portland, and then I worked for someone, and then yeah, went back to Canada and opened up a clinic. And yeah, then I was like, look, I'm kind of finished with the city, so I wrapped that up. I sold that clinic, and I was like, I don't know what am I going to do now? And so I was like, well, I definitely want to move. So I moved east, and then I was kind of taking some time off, traveling around the world, I guess. And yeah, I met my business partner, David Weiss, at a silent meditation in northern Thailand.
Wow, in Thailand? That's awesome.
Yeah.
This
So
is like your eat, pray, love moment. It sounds like so
yeah, it wasn't,
classic.
yeah, not intended in any way like that, but it was, we didn't talk. And then we were on the same bus back from the meditation to the city. And then that's when we were chatting. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. He lives in New York. And then we like hung out for a while. And then this idea started, of these edible selfies. And, we had seen some things, and we'd seen some things while we were traveling, and we're like, man, maybe we can figure out a way to make this technology work in an event setting. And yeah, then we started to really do a deep dive into hardware engineers and software engineers and apps. And then, yeah, we landed in, our first big event was the Super Bowl. And from there, it's been amazing. I mean, we're going to come back. We're still going to come
Yes,
back.
I'm
We're
all for a
still,
selfie.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're still, I think the events industry is going to come back in some physical way. And so, we're still planning for that. I mean, I know Happily is still planning for that. And, at Happily, we still have this side, right? Like we can still get people on demand. Like that's not going to be an issue. We can get producers, we can get brand ambassadors, the whole spectrum. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes in the next, I don't know, from summer and late 2021. So, but look, virtual is here to stay. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, virtual is changing everything. I mean, hardware is so hard, right? Like
Yeah,
props to you guys for like tackling that and like that's I mean, it's really tough to put out a hardware product that like can last and when and it's expensive, right? Like when things break to like fix it or make a new unit, it's tough.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, thankfully, our clients were understanding if we had a technical issue, when there was events, but we always had like backups and there's things. But yeah, hardware overall is it's one of those things, right? So
Yeah. And I think it's cool, like, I mean, that you, one, like, I just love working with other founders and like other entrepreneurs. But two, like people who understand, like deeply understand like technology in the event space. Like, I've just found that it's hard to find like a match between those two worlds, like blending events and tech. But you're like a chiropractor too. So like I almost like I'm just like curious, like how has that been to put those two worlds together? Have you found that have you found the same thing where there's like events people and there's tech people, or like is there like the community of
I
us event
mean,
tech people is pretty small, right?
yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaways from the wellness industry is, um, there's like a holistic approach to things. So, there's like a mechanistic approach where sometimes you just look at like one thing, and with chiropractic, I learned like there's this holistic approach. So that kind of just that foundation will translate to, um, you know, business practices. So, you know, with in the event technology world, it's like, you know, a lot of times in the business that we started, you know, you kind of have to look at the whole picture, right? And say, look, like, how is how is this how is this like ecosystem gonna work? So, you know, the happily ecosystem, like, you know, we should be looking at that at all times to move the business forward. Or how is the selfie ecosystem? What do we have to do? It's just like, oh well, that crashed and burned, let's fix it, you know, like this reactive approach. We want to take a proactive approach, right? In business. So, and I think we want to do that with our health generally as well, is you want to take a proactive approach. So, you know, before you get to a disease state, hopefully, you know, you're doing these things, these practices that help you. And similarly in business, it's like, how can we proactively take these approaches to, you know, gain customers, you know, have an experience that's good for the clients, you know, that's fun, that's engaging, you know, all of these things. It's important for everybody in this again in the business to understand this stuff. So yeah, I think that's the big takeaway from like healthcare to anything else. And you know, that experience of 10 years of just you know, creating a business was you know, helpful going forward. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been like, it's really true, like that like when I think about that, is like when we made the jump, and just like when I was like, okay, like we're committing to virtual, like this pandemic thing ain't going away anytime soon. What wound up happening is, we were like, last year was so much like build the plane while it's flying, and it was like, we quickly unravel, right? Where it's like, okay, well, we want to like, we want to broadcast on a live stream. It's like, all right, well, now you need a designer so that you can like show their name and their title here, right? Now you need like an engineer that's going to be like watching the stream, pushing it out, like making sure like the scenes that we cut to are there. And then as you keep like, as like we keep like learning about what an experience and like how to connect people, you know, online looks like, there's just all these like new ideas that pop up to like sort of like make the experience so much more complete. And like our services have like really expanded from not just like production, which is what it was before COVID, but now we're like strategy, curation, like you know, also just like the creative and the design and the technical. Like we had to take all of those things because that end deliverable like demands that like we're a part of, like in part of inserting this like technology like DNA into every single point in order to make this like run and work.
Right. Yeah, and I think that, you know, previous to this, like for example in selfie, we were in the experiential world, you know, with and so, you know, again with you know, Sarah, you know, one of the other ways that our paths were crossing was with EXP, and you know, that platform was, you know, taking experiential leaders, I guess, and pioneers from around the world and bringing them together. And so I think that is another huge part about Happily. You know, it really sits in an experiential version of the virtual event platform space. You know, I think there's other platforms out there that are very static, right? And the thing with Happily, which I love, is that it's very dynamic, and it leads to a very engaging and experiential you know, just engagement for clients, you know, and that's one of the reasons that I felt very strongly in working with you, because again, it sort of it keeps me in that area which I love so much, and so that component is very important, because with Happily you have these you know, again, if we go back to a physical space, you know, we have, let's say, you know, 2 years ago, we have this experiential event, you know, it's, you know, how does the how does the guest engage with the brand, right? What is the feeling of the space? What's the build out look like? What's the networking capabilities? What's the food, the music, you know, like all these different things. We know it's like, how is it basically engaging the five senses? And so with Happily, this is the closest that you're going to get to that, you know, because we think about that at Happily, right? We're thinking about, okay, well, what's the staff and service component? You know, how are the speakers, what's the speaker experience, you know, before they engage with the audience, you know, the vendors, the musics, that we have all of that. So again, like, I'm really excited that it's an experiential product.
Yeah, I think that the thing that, like, look, we're in like virtual space, so it's like,
Right,
how do we think through like the like story, the narrative, and the video journey, as well as like the auditory journey, right?
right,
And those are like, I mean, that's what we have. Besides, like, actually, when sometimes, like, it's like I've sent incense before, right? So that like we can also trigger like same smell. We're all in a rose garden together, right?
right.
So you have to like take that like extra step. But I think that's interesting that you like kind of key in on, what's the sponsor's experience or what's the speaker's experience, because we do think about their journey before we even go live, because all of that is part of your brand, right? When you're hosting this like conference or the summit or even a very simple webinar like now, the experience of a speaker like starts when you ask them to come and speak, and it like, and their confidence level and their trust in you and the professionalism of you like is all dependent upon like how you receive them backstage. And we have like a lot of scaffolding right, like
Right.
backstage, and we have a receptionist that greets you, like, in you and your speakers. We have a different person that's like just backstage managing and like checking your audio, like helping your speakers like through their stream quality. And that's like, it's really the whole entire, journey, not just at the event itself. And this is something that I used to tell people like all the time too. It's like, an event is cool, right? It gives you this like great moment, this memory that you can like latch onto to help you kind of like pinpoint who else was there, right? And
Mhm.
like set like a network and connections. But really the experience is that whole journey, like before and after.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, the other thing is that it was just like night and day, you know, seeing all the virtual events that I've been to, and then, you know, experiencing like a really a custom built Happily event, right? It was just like, wow, I didn't really know that there was this much back end uh, things that go on to make it flawless, you know, on the front end. And yeah, so just it kind of just reminds you of what happens in a physical space, that, you know, things are evolving this way. And yeah, honestly, like, if someone isn't, I hope that everyone starts to change the way that they engage in like a virtual event. You know, like, meetings can be so much better. Like a simple, even like you said, like a, I don't know, like a 1 hour meeting. They can, there's so much that we can do to make these things better. And so this, uh, where we sit in virtual, excuse me, events, you know, I think it's just important to, for people at the end of the day, so they don't burn out, because look, we're all working from home now. So you know, it's important to have your employees and your guests and experiences to just, look, we got to do something engaging, and this is it, you know, this is where we're at. We're on the cutting edge, so it's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, and it's true. Like we, there's we probably have like a while. Like even I was thinking about when you mentioned the Super Bowl, I was like, we were just talking with somebody about like, what does a Super Bowl party look like? And I'm like, oh, we can have like a trivia experience where we like show videos and clips of past Super Bowls. And it was just like, wow, like the idea of that, right? And it's
Yeah,
so much about like, it's so much about just like storytelling and like thinking through like, how do we, it's so cool being in a, for me, I feel like it's so cool being in a video space because we can like jump cut like in real time, like jump cut time and make like all these like little interactive widgets and stuff that people can play with.
for
And
sure.
I just think it's just like I think it's fun to show people that there are like new ways to learn and there's like new ways to share, sort of like share your emotions and your feelings. We've been in some like mindfulness like workshops and that where I'm like, wow, like I don't know, maybe just because the video is so close, right? And you can make it, you can like as a user can make it as small or big as you want. Like your experience can feel so much more like connected. And I feel like just by everybody like on the planet all going through this at the same time, it's really exciting that we all get to like co-create and like advance like new ways of connecting and being human in this like kind of like, but in our own unique and individual spaces. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, like with remote work, like we're engaging globally. Like I'm in Mexico and you're in,
Oh yeah.
right? Like Taiwan, like,
Taipei.
yeah, and you're in Taipei. And so I think, just even being able to connect people from around the world, and being able to still work, like it's really cool. Like these touch points and, that you can work from a different country and still, get everything done. It's amazing. And so, Zoom has obviously been a large part of the basis of all of this. And, it's interesting because, I think they have a huge longevity coming up. They're about to enter the S&P 500. You have these other stay-at-home type of companies like Peloton. And so it just shows what's about to come. And, really like, we're not competing with Zoom. We're not Zoom. Zoom is like its own thing. But we're kind of like the glue between like the platform and like the I guess the people were like the glue, right? And
Yeah.
so if we're
Yeah.
gluing these things together, I just see it like there's just going to be so much more potential in this industry, which I'm just really excited about. So anything from because like obviously right now I think Sarah you can speak more to it, but have you seen more engagement in because you have like monthly meetings, then you have things like summits, then you have like conferences, then what other type of I guess events are you really starting to see people kind of just get it and say, look, we need to have a more engaging experience?
Yeah. I think that like we're seeing a lot more like what does the new trade show look like where
Uh-huh.
again like helping people like actually think through their booth experiences like from the trade show organizer level, but also like look, CES right is going on
Yeah.
and a lot of these like large electronics companies like they're just doing their own thing at the time that CES is happening, so that is just fully shaking up right like the whole experience. um a lot of folks they sometimes they're like they a little bit like very new right and a little bit confused about like what is happening. They think we're a virtual event platform and it's like, well, no, I kind of Zoom is an app, right? Like
Yeah.
Hopin is an app. What we're really the show producers that like
Hmm.
make that like app experience really fascinating and entertaining and interesting.
Yeah.
And so like anytime I think that you are like asking people to show up, like to to your venue, your virtual venue, your Zoom or whatever, that's an opportunity for you to entertain them. That's an opportunity for you to connect them. That's an opportunity for you to like help you and your partners also like express their brand in a much more heightened way than than if they were to just come into like a regular space that doesn't have anything. I kind of like liken it to this, like one time I went to this event and like it was a bunch of nerds and it was like in Harvard, the academic halls, and you think like, oh God, it's Harvard, it must be so beautiful and fancy, right? And like they didn't know what to do, and they just like put like a pop-up table, no linen, threw a bag of apples down, and we're like, I guess like right. And I feel like a lot of like when people just like show up into their Zoom room like without like a little opening music, without a little graphics, all of that, it's kind of like the pop-up table with a bag full of apples on top. It's like, let's think about this. This is an experience. People are investing their time to like connect with you and whatever you have to say. Like, let's make it a little sparkly.
For sure.
Well, Farsh, welcome to the team. I'm so excited to be building with you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today. And we will see you around. Hopefully we'll see see Farsh on another webinar in the future.
For sure. Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. I hope you'll stay in touch with us. And if you haven't already, subscribed to our newsletter at happily.io and to our social channels, which you can all find us at Team Happily. See you later.